that's the one thing that I didn't get from you. So there was a Naples industrialist who was having an affair with an Italian graduate student. They're not here. And after a month or two, the Italian graduate student came back and said, I'm pregnant with your child, and I'm going back to Italy, and I'm going to have the baby. And he said, you know, I'll take care of that baby. Don't worry about it. I'll pay for his education. He'll have the finest life of a very wealthy man. But I won't leave my wife because she's wonderful, usually on Fifth Avenue shopping. So that's in Naples for those. So he's sitting there in the living room, and about 9 months later, his wife walks in. Oh, he tells her, when the baby comes, just send me a postcard that says spaghetti, and then I'll know the baby's there, and I'll start sending money. So 9 months goes by, and he's in the living room reading a newspaper, and in walks the wife, and she goes, we got the strangest postcard from Italy. He goes, yeah, well, read it to me. And she goes, spaghetti, 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 2 with meatballs, send extra sauce.
Look, you're good and you're getting them to laugh, but I think they deserve better. So I've got a surprise tonight.
Whoa.
Oh.
You want to tell them who I know? This is great.
Mark Kuzinski is good friends with Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, really?
Jerry Seinfeld is coming tonight. Exclusive thing here.
Wait, is he though? I just got this special letter.
So I have to tell you, Mark and Paul over here, my 2 buddies, they're intelligent, good-looking guys. You know how I know? They tell me everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, this is from Jerry Seinfeld. He said, sorry I couldn't be with all of you and my buddy Mark. Can you do this joke for him in my voice? Why does Mark's name end in S-K-I? Because he can't spell toboggan.
That's good.
Hey, how about this country club? Huh? One of the founders was Armenian. That's a true, I don't know who the guy was, but that's true. I saw his name on the plaque. And I talked with the chef and the head pro here, and I said, how many people actually work at your club? And he said about half. I have to tell you, you get that? Jim, about half, not all of them. Sorry.
Got it.
So I want to tell a little bit about myself. I'm 100% Armenian. My grandparents came to this country in 1916, 1920, and I did a DNA study, and I found out that my ancestry, I'm 90% Armenian, 4% Jewish, and 6% from the Flintstones. And Armenians are funny, quirky people, and that just makes us fun to be around with, amongst, if you're Armenian, I suppose. So there was an old Armenian grandma, and she'd go to the grocery store all the time, and she'd put 4 cans in the cart and 1 can in her purse. Well, she got caught, and she went before the judge, and the judge said, okay, Mrs., I'm just going to say Asadurian, it's that person who did it, but it's a good Armenian name. What did you steal? She said, I stole a can of peaches. And he said, well, how many peaches were in that can? And she said, there were 2 peaches. He said, okay, you're going to have to spend 2 days in jail. And the husband raised his hand, and the judge says, you could approach the bench. And the husband went up there, he says, Judge, she also stole a can of peas. So there was this drunk walking down the street. He gets on a bus, and he falls asleep right next to a nun, and his head's on the nun's shoulder, and she's smelling the alcohol coming off of his breath, and she's elbowing him and elbowing him. And finally, he wakes up, and she says, "You're going straight to hell." And the drunk jumps up, and he goes, "I'm on the wrong bus." So my grandfather, when he came to Ellis Island, he had to do the eye test, okay? And he had his hand over his eye, and he's reading the chart, MRTOPOLIAN, and the doctor goes, "Very good, you did it real good. Do you know that word?" He goes, "Know that word, Mr. Topalian? I dated his daughter." Steve, you can use that one. So a man goes to his rabbi. He says, "Rabbi, what must I do to live forever?" And the rabbi says, "Get married, get married." He says, "Will that make me live forever?" He says, "No, but it'll take the desire away." There's marriage jokes coming. So, Armenian guy goes to the psychiatrist. He says, "You know, I feel like I'm a dog. I like to chase balls. I run around. I scratch behind my ear." And the psychiatrist says, "How long have you had these feelings?" And he said, "Ever since I was a puppy." So this is a joke from the 60s, and judging how some of you guys look, you were around those days. So this Father Murphy was head of a parish in Boston. Anybody from Boston? Let's see some hands.
Yep.
All right,
Boston?
Here we go.
That's Boston.
If anybody wants to go get a bat, he's gonna go get a bear. I brought a gun. I thought we were gonna shoot somebody with a bear. We get a bear. So Father Murphy's had this parish, and it's just tiring him out. So he goes to see a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist is in the 60s. He says, "Take off the collar, take a week off, and go to the Playboy Club in Chicago and just relax." So there he is on a lounge chair poolside, and a Playboy buddy comes by and goes, "Hey, Father Murphy," and he goes, "How do you know me?" She goes, "This is Sister Margaret Mary. We go to the same psychiatrist." And the Armenian guy he's raising chickens, and he happens to raise a chicken with 3 legs. So a guy comes by and goes, "Look at that chicken, it's got 3 legs. Why'd you do that?" He says, "Well, most guys want drumsticks, and we thought it would be good to have a chicken with 3 legs." So he says, "Well, what does that chicken taste like?" And the guy says, "I don't know, we haven't been able to catch it." So I was in downtown Naples, 5th Avenue, which don't let your wives go there, by the way, it's terrible. Anyway, so a beggar comes up to me and he says, "I'd like $150 for a cup of coffee." I said, "You know, coffee's only $5. He says, "I know, but I can't go into a restaurant dressed like this." So a woman's sitting at home, and she hears a knock on the door, and 2 sheriff officers arrive at the door, and he says, "Ma'am, are you married?" And she says, "Yes, I am." And they said, "Do you have a picture of your husband?" She goes, "Yes." So she goes and gets a picture of her husband and brings it, and the officers say, "Ma'am, I've got bad news for you. It looks like your husband's been hit by a truck." And she says, "Yeah, I know, but he's a good provider and cuts the grass." Get it? He's a good provider.
Chris.
So, two old Armenian guys, Leo and Armin, they're working at a construction site, and Leo says to Armin, "I don't want to work here today. I think I'm going to make like I'm nuts, and then the foreman will let me go." So he's hanging upside down on the construction site, and he's yelling, "I'm a light bulb, I'm a light bulb." Foreman comes along, he says, "Armin, get down from there, go home." He says, "You're nuts." So Armin gets down, he goes, and all of a sudden Leo's packing up his tools too. He goes, "Hey Leo, where are you going?" Leo says, "You don't expect me to work in the dark." So Leo and Armin are, now they're getting old, and they're sitting on a park bench in Boston. Anybody from Boston?
Yeah.
Anybody from New Hampshire? New Hampshire?
Cape Cod.
Cape Cod. There we go.
Oh.
So they're sitting on a park bench, and Leo says to Armin, "I bet you I can guess how old you are." He says, no, you can't. He says, yeah, I can guess how old you are. He says, but you have to stand up on the park bench and pull your pants down and turn around 3 times. So Armin stands up, he pulls his pants down, turns around 3 times, pulls them back up, and Leo says, you're 93 years old. He says, yeah, how did you know that? He says, I was at your birthday party yesterday. So, the 2 of them being good old Armenian men, they don't get along with their wives at that age, so they get together and hang out. So one of them says to the other, you know, when one of us dies, let's call from heaven, okay? So we know what it's like. So sadly, Leo passes away, and Armin's waiting for the phone call. A week goes by, nothing. A month goes by, nothing. Finally, a year later, Leo calls him, and he goes, Armin, it's me, Leo. He goes, Leo, where you been? He says, what's going on? He says, well, I'm having a great time. I sleep when I want. I reach in a pond and a river. I get fish. I go on a picnic. I grab a picnic basket. I eat it. I sleep on the picnic table. He goes, heaven sounds wonderful. He says, oh, I'm not in heaven. I'm a bear in Yellowstone. So flying down here, I sit next to a lady, and she happens to be Armenian, Mrs. Antramian, her name is, and she had the biggest diamond around her neck. And I said, you know, Mrs. Antramian, that's a huge diamond. I says, it's almost as big as the Hope diamond. She says, it's just like the Hope diamond. I go, what's that? She goes, it carries a curse. I go, what's the curse? She goes, Mr. Antramian. So this next joke is going to need a little translation. I was just talking to somebody about Martin the Armenian. Who was I talking to? And what is your name again?
Joyce, I was Martin Jones.
Yeah.
There you go, Martin the Armenian, going back to 1660, coming over on the Mayflower, true story. Martin the Armenian was on that ship. I don't know what he was doing on that ship, but he came over on the Mayflower. So the joke is that everywhere you go, you find an Armenian. Well, the sad part about Martin the Armenian was the Indians got a hold of him, and they weren't too excited about him, and they started burning him at the stake. So the flames are coming, and Martin's saying in Armenian, Der Vormya, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy. And the Indian lighting the fire looks up and says, Tun Hayes? Are you Armenian? So 4 Irish guys go into a tavern. Any Irish here? And there we go. Four Irish. Mark, 2 Irish guys walk past the bar.
Oh, it could happen?
No, it didn't.
There you go. The Marx brothers. So the bartender had drinks 40 cents each. Because he had won the lottery, he's making it a discount for everybody for months and months. And these 4 Irish guys are drinking drink after drink, and the bill is $4, you know, after all these drinks. And they look down the end, and there's 2 guys on the end, and he goes, how come those guys down there aren't drinking? And the bartender says, those are Armenians, they're waiting for the happy hour.
Smart guys.
Two Armenian grandmothers come out of a new restaurant on 5th Avenue there, brand new, and they run into a friend of theirs, and the friend says, how's the food in the restaurant? And the first Armenian grandma says, terrible, terrible. I felt like I was poisoned. I'm sick to my stomach. And the other one said, yeah, the portions are small. So, what makes an Armenian different from everybody else? Their noses, okay? And you ever figure out how Armenians got the noses that they got? Well, there's a story behind this. I'm glad you asked. Every Armenian landmark is that nose. So it goes back to the creation of the races. When God was making noses, he went to the French and said, what kind of nose would you like? And they said, we'd like a long aquiline nose so we can sniff the wine. So God did that. And he went to Africa, and the African said, give us broad nostrils so we can get oxygen into our muscles. Then he came to the Armenians, and the Armenians said, how much are these noses? And God said, they're free. And they said, give us the biggest ones. dentist, every time I'd work on a patient, before I would drill their teeth, they'd grab my arm and they'd go, "Doc, I just have a question, one question. What's that? Is that your nose or a two-car garage?" So, and then some of them would sit in the chair and they'd say, "I'd rather have a baby than have my teeth drilled. I'd rather have a baby than," and that went on for like 10 patients. Finally, at the end of the day, the lady says, "Doctor, I'd rather have a baby than have my teeth drilled." I said, "Make up your mind, I gotta adjust the chair." So,
Are you gonna tell them why you were so popular in high school?
these are my high school classmates. They wouldn't go to prom with me, I'm telling you. But now I'm very popular.
I love standing up.
My nose was so big, my pullovers had stretch marks. But I could kiss a girl and blow in her ear at the same time. Write these down, these are good. On the golf course, when nobody can tell which way the wind is blowing, I can, my head turns. How many are swimming on their backs and people yelling "shark"? No, I was a depressed teenager, really. I had this bowling ball with a big schnoz on it, and I was depressed, so my mom and dad sent me to a plastic surgeon, and he suggested a tail. My mom would read letters from my Uncle Armenian, "Be positive. When one door closes, another door opens," and the next week another letter. One door opens, when one door closes, another door opens. After about a month of that, I figured out Uncle Armin's in prison. So, before I do any more comedy, I just want to share some things about my experience.